know.
בעיקרון פה בפנים, בגלל הקורונה הם לא רוצים יותר מ10 בפנים, אז גם 11 אנשים אפשר, אבל לא יותר.
בסדר, הנחיית, הוא אמר שההנחיה עכשיו לא טוב.
אנחנו בחוץ, אבל לא משנה, כי אין עכשיו שם, זה נהדר פה, בסדר.
סליחה, עכשיו שאתם תגידו את ההסבר.
אין שם אנשים במקום? Medina, is Rena here?
What?
Is Rena here?
Yes.
Okay, tell her to come.
הנה מכאן את יכולה לעבור.
נעשה את זה פה, נכון? סליחה, איך קוראים לך?
נחשון.
נחשון?
כן.
איפה אני עומד?
אני אסתדר לפי מה שאתה תגיד. כן, רק זה לשים את ה... יש לי פה?
I didn't know if you wanted to see yourself. Investigate Christian Jewish way and more because I read it.
Rena? Rena, is everybody should we start? I think there should be more people there, right? We're all the kids. Tell them all to come here.
Everybody, please come.
Adina? Yeah, Uncle Avi,
Shimon, looks like everybody's here. They're just on the other side. I told them, they're coming. He's coming. Shimon, he's here. He's here, he's coming. They're all coming. What?
Where's Rena?
Do we ask the friends to stay in a separate group?
I'm sorry?
Do we ask the friends to stay in a separate group?
Yeah, like just try to have, listen, just try to have sort of, it makes sense. Doesn't have to be so. Yeah, like just try to have, listen, Just try to have.
אתה איזו, אנחנו נלמד. נו. אני אעשה לך קריאה. אתה אמרת כבר ברכת דיין האמת?
לא זוכר.
לא, נסתבר שלא.
ברוך דיין האמת.
ברוך אתה,
ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם,
דיין
האמת.
אמן. קריאה כלפי מטה. מטה. אוקיי. טוב. אפשר להתקרב בבקשה, אבל לשמור על מרחקים.
אני יכול לדבר בלי זה.
איך שאתה רוצה. יש לנו 3 הספדים, נכון?
יש אני ואחותי, ויש
כן, אפשר, אין
כמה
הגבלה.
מהנכדים.
אין הגבלה.
Where's Rena? Oh. Alicia. Shh. What's wrong? Wasn't it? Why is Alicia? You asked them to stop? Oh, I see. Okay. I so much wanted more quality time with you, Mommy. Even a day or an afternoon. There is so much more that I wanted to do with you, even just to make you smile. I know that I should focus on the positive, how incredibly grateful I am to have had you here in Israel near me for these past 7 years, which I truly am very grateful. But we've been dealing with various crises for quite a while, and now time has run out. And it's hard to stop thinking about how much more I wanted with you and how much more I wanted for you. I wish I were more eloquent so that I could properly give a hesped for my mother. Unfortunately, I know that it is beyond my ability to really properly express who she was and what she meant to me and her family. But I will try. When I think of my mother, the thing that always jumps out to me is the quality time that I had with her growing up every night when she would tuck me into bed. I can safely say that my best memories and the most important experiences of my childhood were those few minutes each night when my mother would sit with me, talk to me, sing me songs, and say Shema with me. I vividly recall the feelings of warmth and love that flowed to me during those moments. Those same feelings that have continued to flow through my veins every day of my life until today. My mother didn't have fancy titles or advanced education. But during those moments every night, I learned from her the most important things in life. One of the songs she used to sing was called Nature Boy. And the last verse says, "The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return." And I think that perhaps this was the most important lesson that she taught me. There were so many songs, each one sung with such love. Maybe 25 songs or more, and I remember most of them pretty well. In fact, I sang many of them to my children, but never quite like my mom did for me. I would also say that those moments with my mom each night were also probably the most important religious experiences of my life. She would say Shema with me every night. And she explained to me how much God cared about me, how I could be sure that He listened. To all my prayers, even if the things couldn't always work out the way I wanted. It was during those moments that I learned from her that God was kind and loving and merciful and caring. I remember at a very young age, perhaps around 6 years old, suddenly realizing that by some strange coincidence, my mother always seemed to have such wonderful things to say about me and everything I did. I got a little suspicious. I decided to test her and see if she really meant it. So I scribbled some lines down with a crayon and asked her how she liked my picture. How do you like it? My mother looked puzzled for a moment, and then she broke into a warm smile and said, "What a beautiful color that is." I remember explaining to her how this proves her gross bias regarding anything that had to do with me. But I also remember not complaining too hard. That bias and her complete unlimited and unqualified love was pretty precious to me even then. My mother was very devoted to the family. She doted on Rena and I, as well as my father. I'll just give a couple of examples. Well, I'll give one example, which probably doesn't reflect so well on me, but I think it captures my mother's devotion. When I was in college, living in the YU dormitory, my mother knew that I was a little bit too devoted to my studies and that I tended to neglect important things like eating right and sleeping. So in order to be sure that I had good nutrition during the week, she would spend hours preparing 2 large bags of food for the week, all ready made to eat without any effort on my part. I was 19, 20 years old. I remember her even cutting up oranges and packing them in Tupperware for me. Thank God that Adina didn't hear about this story until after we were engaged. Whatever my mom did, she wanted to do well. As an example, she was a proud and skilled secretary who I remember how she typed really fast, without mistakes, on an actual typewriter, for those who know what it is, and was also an expert stenographer. She was a great baker. I could still remember the taste of those delicious cakes that she used to make when we were growing up. But none were more special to me than that yearly tradition on my birthday of my mother making me a large, 2-layered strawberry shortcake. The cake was delicious, but the love was the ingredient that really set it apart. She was a very humble person, too humble. I wanted so much for her to understand what she meant to me, for her to realize how everything I had been blessed with was due in large part to her. I tried to tell her, but she didn't seem to take me seriously. Until recently, when we were talking, and she was having a rare good day cognitively, it finally seemed to dawn on her that I sincerely meant what I was saying. And maybe, just maybe, she deserved to take some pride in what she had been able to accomplish and give over to her family. It's a very comforting thought. It was very hard on my parents when we made Aliyah 20 years ago, especially for my mother. And I knew it, and I felt terrible about it, and we almost didn't go because of it. I'm incredibly grateful that my parents made it to Israel these past 7 years, living up the block for me. For those who know about my father, it is easy to understand the connection I felt to Eretz Israel. But I also remember quite vividly, my mother telling me when I was little how meaningful it was to her when she visited Israel with a friend in 1961. She told me that she remembered at the time having this strong feeling of being home and that someday she would wind up living there. There was something about the way she said it that really impacted me and stayed with me. So although I know it was very hard for her to make Aliyah so late in life, I would like to believe that fulfilling this dream was also meaningful to her. These past couple of years have been very difficult with lots of health problems for both of my parents. Rena and I feel incredibly grateful to you, Irene, for the caring, dignified, and meticulous way that you took care of our parents this past 1.5 years. It meant so much to us to know that we had someone so kind and capable to rely on in watching over and taking care of our parents. We thank you with all our heart. I would like to mention my mother's sister, our very dear Aunt Lai, who is watching this from Florida, where she lives with her daughter, our cousin. Aunt Lai, Mommy loved you dearly. The hardest part of making Aliyah was probably her not being able to see you, which she lamented about often. We are with you in your pain, and we love you very much. To our children, Savta's grandchildren, I think you all know how much Savta loved you. She frequently would make comments to me about how wonderful you all are. Just a couple of days ago, when Savta saw that Shoshana had come to visit her in the hospital, I was treated to seeing probably the best smile flash to her face that I had seen in many months. Even I couldn't get her to smile like that. And Chaviva, despite all the difficulties she was facing with her health, she told me a couple of weeks ago how she really wishes she could at least just make it to your wedding. I remember how much I hated it when my nightly time with my mother was up and she had to go. Don't go, I begged. Just one more song. I would cling to her hand and hope that I could guilt her into a few more moments. I was thinking about this a lot lately. Mommy, I so wish you didn't need to go. I was also thinking of one of the many songs that you used to sing that made such an impression on me as a child. It's called How Deep is the Ocean by Irving Berlin. And it goes like this. How much do I love you? I'll tell you no lie. How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky? How many times in a day do I think of you? How many roses are sprinkled with dew? How far would I travel just to be where you are? How far is the journey from here to a star? And if I ever lost you, how much would I cry? How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky?
I would just like to start by publicly expressing to Hashem how grateful I am that He gave me such an amazingly wonderful, supportive mother like I had, and that I had her for all these years till she was almost 85. It's been an unbelievable gift to me that I have cherished, both for everything she's given and been to me, and also for the ability to do the beautiful mitzvah of Kibbud Av V'Im. I don't take it for granted, and I consider myself unbelievably cared for by God for His goodness. I am exceptionally appreciative of the miracle of having my parents come on Aliyah and live up the block from us. It's been a blessing to me and our whole family to have my parents close by and be such a meaningful part of our lives. I also just want to thank Shimon for taking such wonderful care of our parents all these years. What you were able to do and your dedication and devotion was huge. I would have been lost without you, and could never have accomplished the kind of support you gave them on my own. Thank you also to Ari and Adina for your constant love and support and participation with me and Shimon in honoring our parents. I also want to thank Irene for your unbelievable caring and love and devotion to both my parents. You cannot imagine, Irene, the peace of mind and comfort your presence has provided for our entire family. Thank you so much. I'd like to share with everyone here what kind of person my mother was and just how much she meant to me. But if you'll all excuse me, I'm going to address her personally. I guess I feel like there was no way to express my feelings of gratitude and love for her in her lifetime. And this one last opportunity to express it to her directly, I'm just going to seize on. Mommy, when I think of my childhood, I think of all the little things you did to make life nice and good and happy. These little things really added up to a whole lot. Indeed, I marvel now at how cheerful and happy you always seemed, at least in my presence, even though looking back, I know you had a lot of hardships and difficulties. I cannot tell you how important this was to me in making our home a happier, positive place. Thank you for playing games with me and Shimon when we didn't have friends nearby. Even Scrabble, which annoyed you because you would usually lose. Thank you for continuing to play Scrabble with me, even till recently. I know it was hard for you, and you knew you would still lose, but you did it to make me happy, and that's just what you were all about. One of my favorite memories is how you would put us to sleep every night, that Shimon described so beautifully, with some old songs you loved that we grew to love too. We were convinced that you should have been a famous singer. We got to choose from favorites such as How Much Do I Love You, The Old Master Painter, Count Your Blessings, Little White Cloud, sunny side of the street, and of course some enchanted evening. That was the one we usually picked, not because we liked it best, but because it was the longest, and we knew we were ensured more time with you that way. I'm not sure if we ever told you the truth about that. I remember how you would walk with us to Aunt Li's house on Shabbos sometimes, which was a walk of close to an hour. You knew how much we enjoyed going to visit her and our cousins and the school friends we had in her neighborhood. I'm sure it wasn't an easy undertaking for you, but you did it for us with a smile. And we'd have so much fun together as we walked and talked. Aunt Li, I know you're watching this. I'm sure you must miss my mother so. She loved you so much. That was the main thing that bothered her about living here, is not getting to see you. You're in our hearts, and you're like a second mother to me. Mommy, you always put me and Shimon first, before any of your own needs. I look back and remember how every Friday night, after a full day of cooking and cleaning and rushing and finally finishing Shabbat preparations in time for candle lighting, you would pick up your New York Times or a book and settle down into your recliner, exhausted and ready to read and relax before the meal. And then I would come over to you when I was a kid and also not such a kid and say, "Can you talk to me now?" Innocently thinking that you were now free for me to have your undivided attention. It's amazing to me how graciously you would put down the newspaper and smile at me and say, "Of course," and forgo your own personal chilling out time in favor of making me happy. Mommy, even till the end, no matter how confused or in pain or suffering you were, you always managed to muster the strength and love and caring and interest to listen to me if I had a problem and to give me the comfort and support I needed. I marveled over how you were able to transform when you knew I needed you. You were not only an amazing mother, but also such a devoted and loving and beloved Savta. All of the grandchildren loved and appreciated how you spent time with them. They have wonderful memories of how you took them around Manhattan when they were young, and until not too long ago, you delighted them with outings to your favorite restaurants when you were feeling up to it. I remember and appreciate all the times you took me out to eat, especially in the Hadassah Mall after we'd finished with a doctor's appointment. Mommy, I loved those outings with you as much as you did. And I'm so sorry we didn't get to do these fun kind of things as often as you wanted to. The loss was mine, much more than yours. Mommy, how much is contained for me and now lost to me in that one word, Mommy? When I close my eyes and think of you, of my childhood with you, and my adulthood as well, I get an indescribable, overwhelming feeling of your immense love and devotion to me always. To call it unconditional love just wouldn't do it justice. You made it clear to me and Shimon from the earliest time I can remember, and even till today, how much love and caring and admiration you had for us. This profound love that you instilled in me, I have carried with me throughout my entire life. It's what makes me who I am, and it's the root of all the love I am able to give to my own children and family. When I look around and see everything that I am blessed with, my family as well as Shimon's family, all of you, I know I owe it all to you, Mommy, and your love. Thank you, Mommy. You will always live on in my heart and in all of us.
Saftale, it's hard to believe that you're no longer with us. This whole last half a year, when your health was deteriorating, since your surgery in December, it was hard to grasp. I wish you would have hanged in there longer, but I knew you were suffering. Safta, we loved and will continue to love you so much. You cared so much about your children and your grandchildren. They were the pride of your life. I want you to know how much I love to sit and talk to you. You always showed genuine interest and care about how I was doing and made it very clear to me that you loved me. You were such a good listener and just so easy to talk to. It's hard to express what you meant to me. You were a sincere and honest person. You were so appreciative of any help we gave you. It made me want to come back and do more. There were different periods of my life in terms of my relationship with you. Up until age 6, we lived right near you in the Lower East Side. I was shy then, and I didn't get as close with you. I remember when my parents went on their pilot trip to Israel, you took care of me when I was sick. I told you how much I wanted my parents to be with me, but I want you to know that I appreciated you being there for me, taking me into your lap and drawing me a fruit basket, making me feel better. You also had the best pen and paper games to play when we were waiting in line at for doctors or anywhere else. After we made Aliyah, we saw you less regularly, but our visits with you became special, especially when I would fly in with my sisters for the summer and we would stay by you guys. We would watch TV in your apartment because we didn't have a TV at home. You would take us to the library and to restaurants and shopping in Midtown, showing us how great New York City was, with its tall buildings and all the action. You lived there most of your life, and you were very patriotic towards the city and towards America. The Pesach after I finished high school, you and Saba made Aliyah, and once again lived near us. We had the entire family basically living on one street. I'm so thankful for these past 7 years, when I really got to form a close relationship with you and Saba. You became such a big part of my life. I would talk about you and Saba all the time. I enjoyed so much to spend time with you. We used to go out to eat, usually at Greg's, and then maybe get a McDonald's ice cream after that. You would take a few grandchildren, or just one. I loved spending that one-on-one time with you. We would sit there for hours at the restaurant. We would talk about dating. You would tell me your stories from when you were single. You would tell me about the weekends that you would go on. And I remember the story about the creepy guy that came to pick you up from your house and got turned away by your father. We would compare the dating etiquettes back then and now. You were appalled that a guy today would call a girl after a first date, only to tell her that he doesn't want to go out with her again, since apparently it's more polite to just not be in contact. And you couldn't believe that I would offer to pay on a first date, which apparently is very offensive. You would tell me about dating Saba. You would tell me stories of your childhood and of your parents, allowing me to try to get a better sense of who they were. You loved telling us about your big trip abroad in the 60s, where you spent time in Israel and Tel Aviv, which you enjoyed very much. And from there you traveled to a number of countries in Europe. You liked Italy best, saying that the people there were very friendly. You would ask me what I eat as a vegetarian, and you would give me recommendations. You would tell me to eat spaghetti with cheese and beans. It has everything you need in one meal. I used to come over every Shabbat with my father for Sudah Shlishit. You would get up to prepare food for us, and we would tell you, sit down, we just want to spend time with you. When we would come over, you would be sitting at the table, always with a book nearby. I would ask you about what you were reading. Often it would be a John Grisham or a Debbie Macomber. You liked a little mystery and romance. Occasionally you would give me a book that you liked from the library and I would read it too. Your favorite book was Gone with the Wind, and you couldn't understand how it's possible that I've never read it. You had your grandkids all grow up on I Love Lucy, which we watched at your place when we were little, and later you bought us the whole series. You passed on songs to us that you sang to your kids and that they and you sang to us. I know you and Saba really wanted me to get married. and now neither of you will be at my wedding. The day before your surgery, I told you I was dating Matan, and a couple of weeks later, you were already asking me if I had good news for you. In the last few months, I've been coming over with Matan and Shabbatot, and I'm glad you got to know him a little. Every week, you would inquire about the wedding, and I would update you about our plans. I wanted to give you something to look forward to. I showed you a picture of my wedding dress, and we looked at pictures from yours and Saba's wedding. I wanted so much for you to be there with me, to dance with you. I'm going to miss you so much, Savta.
Saftale, it's hard to imagine not having you here anymore. There's going to be an empty hole in our lives without you. The one thing I'm so thankful for is that you came to Israel to be close with us. You were such a huge part of my life here in Israel and back in the States. To me, New York meant Safta. I've never seen anyone else who spoke about New York light up so much as you did. And coming to New York every summer and you being able to show us around and go to all the places that you loved was so special to you. When you and Saba came to Israel, you lost a lot of your independence, and big parts of your life were left behind. Although I can't imagine growing up without you and would never have let us miss these amazing years where you were so close to us and I had the honor to help out, take care of you, go out with you, and come to visit and sit to talk to you for hours, I like to hold on the memories of you in New York where you taught me games, watched classic movies with your favorite actor, went celebrity hunting around Times Square, went shopping together, and always made me the best breakfast of oatmeal and French toast. Even though it was hard for you here, I knew that the one thing that held you on was your family. And the last year you decided in order to cheer up, every week you took a different grandchild out to eat, and sometimes even twice. We would go to the restaurant and you would take the menu and read through it, and then you would debate what you want, and every time you would put it down and say, I think I'll just have what I had last time. But we didn't even need to tell the waitress because she already knew what it was. When trying to write this, I was trying to find a word to describe what it feels like to see you smile, and I couldn't. Being with you just made every person around you just feel such amazing feelings inside. We can always count on you to be honest. You always said what you thought gently, but always made sure right afterwards to say, but that's just me. I'm from a different generation, so it's okay. You never liked when we used the word great, because good should be good enough. If it's good enough for the Bible, then it should be good enough for you. You had the best sense of humor and would always sneak in a joke here and there and laugh from it, and then would make me laugh too. You loved treating us, but also loved treating yourself. Even on the last few days when you were ready to make peace, we were trying to convince you to hang on a little more and let the doctors help you. And you could barely talk, but the one thing you said was, I want my ice cream. You always wanted to hear what was new with us and spend hours talking and listening. I knew that meant the world to you, but really it meant the world to us too. You always told me how proud you were of me and never forgot to say, I love you, Tzionale. These last few months have been so hard on so many levels, especially knowing that you were at home alone without any of your grandchildren who love you so much. Family was everything to you, and you really wanted to be with us. I always thought that you would be here forever. I never worried about losing you so fast. If I would have known, I would have done everything I could to be with you and make you happy. You are the most good-hearted person I know. Every time you smiled, I felt your love and goodness. Your heart is made out of gold, and anything you've ever done and said was for your family, children, and grandchildren. I will hold on to my memories of you singing old songs, laughing, smiling, and will hold on to the feeling of your hug and kiss. You deserve the world, and I hope we helped make you happy and brighten your life as much as we could. I will miss you so much, and you will always be with me everywhere I go. Send Saba a huge kiss and hug from me.
Saftale, I miss you already so much. I didn't imagine that in your last months I wouldn't be able to visit you because of COVID-19. This year was so hard for you physically and mentally, and you suffered greatly. I know you tried to go on, and I wish I had more time with you, but I am relieved you're no longer suffering. This morning, being with you at the hospital, Corona didn't matter anymore, and I gave you so many hugs and kisses to make up for lost time. Born to immigrant Polish parents on the Lower East Side, Manhattan, life for you wasn't easy. I remember you telling me when you were 14 years old, your oldest brother, Avraham, died. You still got emotional talking about him all these years later. Your mother, Bobby, Zichronah Livracha, couldn't handle the grief, and you ended up functioning as caretaker to your siblings. You stepped up and sacrificed your needs because your family needed you. Later in life, you married Saba and raised with the utmost dedication, love, care, sensitivity, and acceptance two of the most amazing people I know, my Abba and Aunt Rina. You didn't have a fancy career, yet I never got the feeling you felt that missing from your life. Your children were your greatest accomplishments. Even in later years, you never stopped being a caretaker. You took care of Saba until you physically could no longer do so. I think that was your essence and your purpose in this world. I have early memories of going to your house across the street from ours on the Lower East Side. I remember eating your yummy homemade hamburgers, drinking apple juice, eating canned peaches, watching I Love Lucy reruns, Anchors Away, and Singing in the Rain. We would play dots and boxes, tic-tac-toe, hangman. You would sing songs. I loved being with you. And it was so easy to be myself. You were always cheering me on and telling me how great I was. You were caring, attentive, and non-judgmental. When I think of you, Safta, a warm, wonderful feeling fills my heart with love. Making Aliyah 7 years ago was really hard for you. Being in a foreign country, foreign language, foreign culture, not being able to see your best friend and sister, Auntie Lila. We love you very much, Auntie Lai. It was a huge sacrifice. But the time I spent with you, the last 7 years, are so precious to me, and I am immensely grateful for them. I enjoyed sharing with you all about my life, my dreams, and my hardships. You always empathized, and you were able to give me strength in some of my hardest moments. We didn't agree about everything, yet you always made me feel validated. The best treat of all was going out with you to eat. You loved indulging us and never once let me pay. We haven't been able to do that in a really long time, and I miss it. I love you, Saftale, so much. I ask for your forgiveness if I ever caused you pain or if I wasn't there for you. Thank you for your sacrifices and for everything you did for us in your life. May your beautiful neshama have an aliyah and join Saba, Avram, Simchi, Bobby, and Zaidi in Gan Eden.
פרק ט"ז בתהילים. מכתום לדוד שומרני אל כי חוסי סיבוך, אומרת לאדוני אדוני אותו תוסיף לכו, לקדושים אשר באורץ עמו ואדירי כל חפציבום ירבו עצבו יסום אחר מורו בלסיך נזכם מידום ובלסויס שמו יסום על ספוסוי אדוני מנס חלקי וחויסיית אותו מכגוי רולי חבולים נופלו לי בנעימים אף נחלס שופרו אלוהי עבור חס אדוני אשר יהוצון יף לילויס ישרוני חיליויסוי שיביסי אדוני לנגדי סומית כמיני בלמוי לא כן אסומח ליבי ורגל כבודה בסור ישכן לו בטח כי לא יישא זוי בנפשי לישוי לא יפתיתן חסיד כל לירוי שופח אוי דיני אוי רב חיים סוי בעצמכו של כבודכו נעימוי בימינכו נצח
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה ויעמד יברכותי במליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לחובי ישראל לעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן תהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם אומר מיה יתברך וישתבח ויפעל ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה מקור ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעמה ואמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום לדרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן
והינו עמדנו אלוהינו עלינו מעשה ידינו כוננו עלינו מעשה ידינו כוננהו יושב בסייסר עליון בצל שדייס לא ינון אוי מר לאדוני מחסי ומצודו סילו יבטח בוי כי הוא יצילכו מפח יקוש מדבר הבויס בעברוסו יוסך לוך וסחס כנופוב תחסה צינו וסייחירו אמיתוי לא יסירו מפחד לא מחצי ופיו עמום מדבר באויפל יהלוך מכתב ישוד את צהרויים יפועל מצדכו אלף ורבבו מימינךו אליכו לא יגוש רק בעיניכו סבית ושילומס ושועים תראה כי עתו אדוני מחסי עליון שמתו מעיניכו לא יישאו נאיליכו רו ונגע לא יקרב באוהליכו אם הלוכו ויצא ולוך לשמורכו בכל דרוכךו על כפיים יסעונכו פן תיגוי בו אבן רגלךו על שחל ופסן תדרוך תרמוי ספיר וסנין הביכו שק ואפלתהו עסקבהו כי יודע שמי יקרואיני ועיניהו עמו אנוכי בצורח חלצהו וכבדהו אורירך יומי מסביהו והריהו בישועשי הקביו בן מעללה לא ימר יסתכל בתלושות דבורים ועינתו בו לידי אווירו דע מאין בו סעו לענתו ילך ולפני מיעתו סיד ליתן דין וחשבון מאין בו סעו מתפוספו לענתו ילך במקום הפורימו וסוילאו ולפני מיעתו סיד ליתן דין וחשבון לפני מלך מלכי המלוכים הקדוש ברוך הוא עצוב דומים בו לא ככל דרוכוב משפוט אל אמונו ואינו ולצדיק ויושר הוא גדוי לא יצור ורב ועל ידיעה אשר אינך פתוחויס על כל דרכי בני אדום לא סייס לאיש כדרוכו וכפרי מעלו לוב להגיד כי יושר אדוני צורי ולוב לא סבוי אדוני נוסן ואדוני לא כוח יהי שם אדוני מבוירוך והוא רחום יכפר ובוין ולא ישחיס והרבו להושיב אפוי ולא יועיר כל חמוסוי. קדיש פעם נוספת.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה יעמד יברכותי במליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דחובי ישראל בעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם אומר מיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לילה בין קודשתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעמה ואמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום מדרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן.
אמן. אישס חיל ממצוא ורחוק מפנינים ממכרו, לא תחבול לב בעלו ושלו לא יחזור, גמול עשו טוב ולא ירוא כל ימי חייו. דורשו צמר ופשתים ותעש בחפץ כפיו, אוי סו כאוני אוי סויכר ממרחק תוביל לחמו, ותוקום באויד לילו ותיתן את טרף לביסו וחויק לנערו יסאו, זוממו סוד ותיקוחהו מפרי כפיונות או כורם, חוגרו בעוז מוסנר ותאמץ רו יסאו, תועמו כתוי וסחרו לא יכבה בלילו נירו, יודעו שילחו בקישור וכפאו תמכו פולך, כפו פורסו לאוני ויודעו שילחו לא אביוי, לא יסירו לביסו משולג כי כל ביסו לבוש שונים, מרבדים עושסו לו שיש וארגומון לבושו, נוידע בשעורים בעלו בשבטו עם זקני אורץ, תודין עושסו ותמכור וחגויר נוסנו לכנעני, אויז והודור לבושו ותצחק ליום אחרוי, יופוסו בחוכמו וסרירת חסד על לבוינו, לא ישימו ליכויס ביסו ולחם עצרו לא יסויכל, כמובנהו וישרו בעלו ויהללו, רבויס בונויס עשו חיל ועטוליס על כולנו, שקר אכן והבל היופי אישו ירעס אדוני היטיס הלול, תנו לו מפרי הודעו ויהללוהו בשעורים מעשהו, עקביו בן מעלל אלוהימר הסתכל בשלושה דברים ועינתו בו לידי אווירו, דע מאין בוסו ולאנתו ילך, ולפני מיעטו עושיד ליתן דינה וחשבון, מאין בוסו מטיפוס רוחו ולאנתו ילך למקום עפר עמו וסוילאו, ולפני מיעטו עושיד ליתן דינה וחשבון לפני מלך מלכי המלוכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, הצור תומים פועלוי ככל דרוכוב משפט, אל אמונו ואינו ול צדיק ויושר הוא, גדוי לא יצו ורבו עליליו אשר הינך פקוחויס על כל דרכי בני אדום, לא סייס לאיש כדרכו וכפרי מעלו לוב, להגיד כי יושר אדוני צורי ולא עוולו סבוי, אדוני נוסן ואדוני לא כוח, יהי שם אדוני מבורך, והוא רחום יכפר ובוין ולא ישחיס, וירבו להושיב אפוי ולא יועיר כל חמוסוי. קדיש.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, ויעמד יברח חוטי במליך מלכותי, וחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, ועברו בזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם אומר מיה, יתברך וישבח ובעד ושמם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מבשמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום מדרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
אתל בת רב מרדכי דוב, כי מלאכה ויצא ולוך לשמורכו בכל דרכיכו.
לא, תעלי קודם. תעלי קודם. מיקי, יהיה לך יותר נוח אם תיקח את הכל לשם. אוקיי, סגור?
פה סגור הרמטי, מה אתה רוצה?
תן לו כמה אבנים.
שם לא תוכל להכניס אבנים גם כן.
יש לי מקום, רק תן לי אבנים, זה לא אבנים. יכול. כן, אבנים קטנות. לא גדולות, קטנות, אבל אבנים, נכון.
הנה, קח, צביקי. צביקי.
תודה רבה.
והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחיס וירבו לו שיבה פוי ולא יועיר כל החמוסוי והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחיס וירבו לו שיבה פוי ולא יועיר כל החמוסוי והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחיס וירבו לו שיבה פוי ולא יועיר כל החמוסוי. חכו רגע, הם יעשו לכם כאן מעבר, כי אם דורכים על זה זה מתקשה. אז עוד רגע יהיה לכם מעבר, יהיה יותר נוח.
מפונדנת?
שמולי, מפונדנת. רק רגע.
תן לי רגע.
עוד קצת. תגיש לו. זוז רגע.
יכול להיכנס לפנים? או, מצוין.
תניח לו נביא מיד ליד.
מה נפל שם בתוך הקטע? תסתכל על זה.
מאיפה זה?
לא יודע.
אין לי טורים.
עץ השיש. רק רגע.
מאיפה זה הגיע?
לא יודע. היה בתוך הערימה. נו.
אנחנו תכף נאמר כולם ביחד ציבור הדין, לאחר מכן אנחנו נאמר קדיש הגדול, לאט לאט, המילים קצת קשות.
צביקה, תראה מה זה שם?
תניח, כן.
כן, צביקה משהו. יש הרבה... צביקה, תן לו.
זהו. עצור תומים פה לוי ככל דרוכוב משפוט אל אמונו ואינו בל צדיק ויושר הוא עצור תומים בכל פועל מי אומר לו מה תפעול השליט במטו ובמעלה מימיס ומחיה מוריד שאול ויועל עצור תומים בכל מעשה מי אומר לו מה תעשה או אימר ואוי זה חסד חינום לנו תעשה ובזכוס הנעיקת כסה הקשיב ובעשה צדיק בכל דרכו ועצור תומים ערך אפיים ומולה רחמים המוינו וחוסנו לא בוי סובונים כלכו דוין הסליחויס ורחמים צדיק צדיקתו אדוינוי לאומיס ולאחיוס אשר ביותכו פקדוין כל רוחויס עלילו לכו זכרויננו למחויס ויונו עינךו ברחמים עלינו פקוחויס כי לכו אדוין הרחמים והסליחויס אדומים בנשונו יהיה או 1000 שנים יחיה מה ישרון לו כלוי הויו יהיה ברוך דיון אמס מימיס ומחיה ברוך הוא כי אמס דינו משוטט הכל בעינו ומשלם לאדום חשבונו ודינו והכל לשמו הוידויו ייתנו יודענו אדוני כי צדק משפטך תצדק בדוברך ותזכה בשופטך ואין לערער אחר מידת שופטך צדיקתו אדוני ויושר משפטך דיון אמס שופט צדק ואמס ברוך דיון אמס שכל משפט טוב צדק ואמס נפש כל חי ביודך צדק מלוא ימינך ויודך רחם על פליטס צוין יודך וסוימר למלוך חרף יודך גדוי לא יצור ורבו על אליו אשר עינך פקוחויס על כל דרכי בני אדום לא פייס לאיש כדרכו וכפרי מעלולוב להגיד כי יושר אדוני צורי ולא אבלו סבוי אדוני נוסן ואדוני לא כוח יהי שם אדוני מבוירו והוא רחום יכפר ובוין ולא יסיס בו להושיב אפוי ולא יועיר כל חמוסוי קדיש הגדול לאט לאט
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה בעלמא דהוא עתיד להתחדתה ולאחיה מתיה ולעסקה יתון לחיי עלמא ולמבנה קרתא דירושלים ולשכלל היכלי בגאווה ולמקר פולחנה נוכרעה מערעה ולעטבה פולחנה דשמיא לעטרה וימליך קודשה בריחו במלכותי ויקרא בחיי איכון וביום איכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה בזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ומעלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן עושה שלום מדרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן
אמן אתל בת מרדכי דוב בשם החברה קדישה בשם המשפחה הקרובים הידידים והמלווים אנו מבקשים ממך סליחה ומחילה שמחס וחלילה פגענו בכבודך הן בטהרה בנשיאת המיטה ובתיקון הקבר אנא סלחי לנו כי אין זו אלא שגגה החברה קדישה נהגה איתך כמנהגי ירושלים עיר הקודש הנה מליצת יושר עבור משפחתך קרובייך וידידייך ועבור כל כלל ישראל בכל תפוצות ישראל וייתן השם ויבולה המוות לנצח ומחה השם אלוקים דמעה מעל כל פנים ובא לציון גואל במהרה בימינו, אמן. לכי בשלום ותנוחי בשלום ותעמדי לגורלך לקיץ הימים. כשנצא מחוץ לחלקה באזור הכביש נעשה 2 שורות גברים לניחום אבלים לבן. את הבת מנחמים בלי שורה. למעלה.
כן, אנחנו צריכים מנחה עכשיו. כן, כן.
Hi, Dawn. Is it
people for the funeral, we're going to have mincha. Oh, we're doing it from available. Then we'll have to just get a time.
So then, do it over here, then. לא, נכון, הם עוברים בקהל, אתה יכול לדבר את זה עכשיו.
לא, אני אומר, זה הכיוון הזה. אוקיי.
נחסוך את הכוונה. We're going to have okay. First thing I do is eat the rainbow.
So who needs to make another tour over there? Make 2 lines over there for the arena.
המקום ינחם אתכם